Folks, it's Friday, but you probably won't listen to this until Saturday or maybe even a week from Friday. It doesn't really matter. You're here. We're here. Let's get started. My name is Michelle, and I am here to welcome you to your seventh, eighth, or ninth favorite reality TV recap podcast. My name is Michelle, which I already said. I am coming to you from Los Angeles via London, via Bethesda, Maryland, a suburb of Washington, D.C. And with me today is my person, my favorite co-host of all. It's Baby J. It's Jack.
Hey, everyone. Jack in Los Angeles via the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Been out here, I keep saying this now, about 10 years. We're getting new people. We need to keep all of the new listeners abreast of our backgrounds.
Regardless of who you are or where you're from, you are so welcome here. We are sex positive. We are intersectional feminists. We are accepting of all perspectives as long as you love us. In the immortal words of, I guess, the Backstreet Boys, one of which was definitely homophobic. So, need a new reference for that. Today, we are covering part one of the Happily Ever After reunion house. Jack, we are among the many viewers because we don't get screeners, y'all. That is why our schedule is a bit different. Also, if you're watching us on video and you see me habitually look to the left, it's because the screen that you're getting is backwards to how we're actually sitting for some reason. So we're working on that too. Patreon.com/BladyDay. For just $5 a month, you get all of our shows, including the upcoming Love is Blind UK, which I cannot wait for, ad-free. You also get a weekly bonus episode, which this week is going to be another episode of Help!
Help! I'm in a secret relationship.
It's a really good one. It is juicy.
It was our favorite so far.
It's our favorite episode of that already fantastic show. So sorry, back to Jack. Can you just go over the bit of technical difficulties? This the little snag, the extra gift that no one wanted from
From
HGA
Sharp
reunion.
Entertainment and
Yes.
everybody. Okay, so I'm just going to break this down. You've probably heard this already, but this is a little PSA because we had to do this ourselves in order to podcast about it. So for some reason, some sort of rights issue or bullshit, none of the tell-alls will be available on Max or Discovery Plus until the end of the month when everything is aired. This seems to be so they can push people towards the TLC app. Don't understand it. Long story short, download TLC Go on whatever streaming service or device you use. Click when it asks you to verify your TV provider, just click maybe later or not now. Then navigate towards Happily Ever After. They will all be locked except for the tell-all. And that's for tell-all 1. Hopefully that holds true for each tell-all part. But I will be back with another PSA when we cover part 2 to let everyone know. And also, for that matter, and maybe a little way to get you to listen to everything we do here, I will be putting these PSAs in other shows that we're doing throughout the week so everybody knows where to watch all of this fantastic stuff that we're covering.
Thank you, Jack.
Yes, not a problem.
So let's get right down to it.
Now, when we're getting right down to it as to where we are, is this house, this hell house, Purgatory Hell House.
Purgatory Hell House. Yes, that's the name of the haunted mansion that we're in. The haunted McMansion.
For people familiar with the Northeast, they want us, Michelle and I were talking about this, they want us to think this is Greenwich, Connecticut. And
it can't be.
It can't. It's well, Greenwich wouldn't allow it. First,
me
of
no
all.
accept this for Greenwich, Connecticut.
We've decided that this feels more like a Paramus, New Jersey, Short Hills Mall, if you will. That's sort of. It feels like a a shuttered subdivision. That's sort of like the vibe of it.
Yeah.
Or a
Um,
never was subdivision. Is that a thing?
it looks like for those Bravo bays out there.
Oh, this is
Um,
the Jersey connection. I left it out.
yes,
That's right.
this looks like Teresa Giudice's old
Now,
house.
just in case you're a real watcher of that show, Michelle said it in the proper Italian. Now, in the New York, New Jersey metro area Italian, Teresa does pronounce that Judice, which I just feel is not as attractive as Giudice.
Yeah, I don't really understand. What was your grandmother's name, by the way, before she
Her maiden
converted?
name
Yeah,
was Anna Muratori. Muratoire. Like she wouldn't have said it's Murator.
right.
So I don't know. This is some sort of Americanizing of a name. I don't know. America feels like one of the places you don't really need to change your Italian name, but hey, to each their own.
They made your ancestors change your Jewish name, though.
Well, not my. See, I'm Sicilian, not straight Italian. The Northern Italians made my ancestors change their names.
Oh.
Oh, fun world history.
By the way, if you haven't yet, in our Facebook group, or even if you want to message me on Instagram, which I always appreciate, at Blighty Day, Blighty is spelled Blighty. Please join the little. I'm thinking of making an Instagram chat group
Ooh,
for just the people I talk to regularly.
just for
But I have to
everybody out
ask them
there,
first.
I didn't even hear anything about this. Michelle doesn't talk to me about certain things sometimes.
That's not true.
That's a great idea.
It
I
is
think we should do
It
that.
is a great idea. Let us know. Anyway, on our Facebook right now, we are asking our listeners to describe their heritage in a food combination. So, for example, I'm an Irish Jew, so I'm a potato latke. Jack is a Sicilian Jew, so he's a pizza bagel. Um, there are some incredible entries on Facebook right now. I'm going to start sharing them, with people's respecting people's privacy.
And I just want to say, because I've been pushing for Facebook group engagement, thank you, everybody. We're really getting a lot more interaction on there. And so far, this little poll as to what you would call yourself based on food and your background and heritage, it's a lot of fun. And we're having a good time. So keep it flowing, crowd.
And we are very close to 500, which is an all time high for us. We are going to celebrate with a live stream that you don't even need Facebook for. Okay. We can do
Yes.
it on this very platform that we're recording on. So we are really excited to do that. Obviously, we can't give you a date until we hit 500.
But if you keep
So
telling your friends, family, coworkers, bosses, nannies, dog walkers, we'll get to that 500 real fast.
we will get there. So back to Paramus slash an abandoned subdivision somewhere in New Jersey. Patrick and Thais are the first to arrive. Look, we're not gonna go get into this forensically. I think probably the best thing to do is we've written notes, but I just want to pick little moments because I'm sure you've heard plenty of recaps that do the blow by blow.
One, we talked about it. I don't know that for us, blow by blow is going to be the best way to cover this because this is
No
sort of
one's
like
having
a
sex.
no one's having sex. It's a bit of a fever dream. It feels like it looks like one of those things like where you have an anxiety nightmare when you're at a place where you don't necessarily love everyone you work
Yes.
with. And then you have like, oh man, I had this weird dream that like we were in a house and it was like sort of in New Jersey, could have been Connecticut. And it was like
Hmm.
everybody was there and their partners were there too.
Not gonna lie to you though, Jay. I really like this format. And if they start doing all the tell alls like this, I might actually watch the tell alls.
Well, now I can be one of the dozen podcasters who says, yeah, no, this was my idea because I came up with this like several during one of Sean Robinson's famous, yeah, we're not going to get anywhere or figure out anything, but have a great one. During one of those, I was like, why don't they just combine like Sober House, or surreal life and the tell all. And that's what we've gotten. And I'm really glad that they did it because it has taken something that is horribly painful and boring and added new life to it, which is exciting on this show.
I just want to say, in defense of Sean Robinson, I understand that she's doing everything at the behest of producers and that she has a very narrow remit to work within. She can't show any personal bias. And I imagine after doing this for years and watching this show go from like, I remember the first Washington Post review of this show was like, this show is going to change the world. It was that glowing and optimistic because it really was like nothing anybody else had ever seen on television before, and it felt more like a documentary. And I can sort of see how that would grate on, and especially some of these personalities, you think you would never want to meet them in real life, and she has to meet them again and again and again. She's still her eyes are vacant as the seas. Gen Xers will get that. And beautiful and clever and adept though she is at her job, y'all, she can't do this anymore.
Do you think when you say that, is it just like, is it she's like not feeling it, are you saying? Or do we need like just a different take on things?
I'm saying I need someone who would look out of place at a Spirit Halloween store.
Ooh, question, because I meant to ask you this, but I couldn't because you were ill when we were doing UK the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Diana and I were discussing because we were prefacing what we think the tell all might be like in the for the UK? Do you remember there was like a comedian, a blonde woman who did the tell all for UK last year?
Yes. Catherine Ryan,
It was
National
okay.
Treasure.
That's what
Yeah.
I thought her name was. Diana and I were talking about how that sort of put some new life into that because Catherine Ryan, Katie Ryan,
Catherine Ryan.
Catherine Ryan is
Yeah.
a fan, and she
Mm-hmm.
kind of came on as a fan, so she was able to mix it up a little bit more. Do you think that would be better for the US version?
Yes, I don't think, and again, no disrespect, that job would suck the life out of me
For
too
sure. This is
in a
no
very
Sean.
short amount of
I just
time.
want to say for the record, Sean's done a great job. It's just, it might be time to
Yeah,
pass the torch.
it's time because we need a ringmaster. You need an Andy Cohen for this. Like,
Yes.
if you're not going to be funny yourself, you have to be willing to push people, and you have to have an understand. And like I said, maybe she's hamstrung by the producers. But anyway, let's. I also want to say for the Bravo Bays out there, I half expected Sonia and Ramona to come in and fight over who gets the best room.
What about Luann? She wouldn't have been in there? She did just get married and
She
then
did
got
just.
divorced.
Oh, I love Luann. I loved her a little less now that we're rewatching, I think season 10 or 9, where she
Nine.
shows up in blackface for Halloween.
Oh,
I'm a lot less.
Michelle, that was just simply a Diana Ross costume.
No, I mean, for Carol to go to Tinsley and Ramona, the two whitest ladies in a show full of white ladies, and go, don't you think that was a little insensitive? Because Carol has kind of and yes, I'm borrowing a bit from Ronnie Karam there, the great Ronnie Karam of Watch What Crappens, which is another show we love. Anyway, we're digressing. Everybody,
Let's get into the walk of shame or walk of fame into the tell all.
well, some are Seamus and some are famous. What can I say? Patrick and Thais show up. Patrick is contributing by doing audio descriptions for the blind.
Wait, can you
Uh,
wait? Just explain that for a second because I don't know if people are going to get that.
okay, so I'm sure they have it here for for people who struggle to see.
Yes, we
I'm
do have
not mocking
no, no,
blind
I'm just
people.
it's accessibility
Yeah, it's an
options.
accessibility option you can have on your TV, and the UK are particularly good at this. They have, um, consummate professionals doing the narration, and it's done in a really beautiful way, and it helps people get access to shows that they wouldn't be able to engage with
And these
otherwise.
are also, this is not just for blind, but this is for if you're visually impaired or anything and you can't see. It's just giving you some
Yeah,
additional description.
it's giving you the atmosphere,
Yes.
which, and helping you with those subtle things that you may not otherwise notice. I have a feeling your super is here, but we don't need to get up because Diana is doing the Lord's work.
And anyone, if you can hear the dogs barking in the background, let me know because I can't hear it in the headphones.
Oh, good. Okay, so no problem. Anyway, um, yeah, so Patrick comes in and he's like, "Whoa, look at this chair. Look at the bed. Now we're walking into a bigger room."
Wait, there's walls?
There's some gold filigree over there. Check out the crown molding.
Look at this double staircase when we enter the entryway going to the left and right.
Jack, can I ask you,
Yes.
just as a realtor yourself,
Yes.
what are the nicest things that you can say about the decor in this house? If you're trying to sell this, what are the nicest things you can say? You don't have to go into it too much,
Yeah,
but
no, no. I'm
yeah,
just trying to find a word for the oof. Okay.
aesthetic.
Yeah, yeah. I was using. I was trying to use that word. I didn't know if it worked. It would have been. I would say a very traditional late 20th century New Jersey home decor.
I like that.
Hey, it works. Look, you got to work with your client. If I had a client, look, I might only bring people there who feel like they might be friends with the Judices. They might really like that kind of decor.
Would you say it's aspirational?
I would say it's aspirational if you would like to pretend that you're wealthier than you are, then it's really aspirational.
That sounds amazing. And what do you think the maintenance bill on this place would
Oh, it's
be?
really comfortable. It's just going to be after you put down the down payment and we work all that out. It's just going to be like 8 to 10 grand a month.
Yeah, that's okay. Um, so yeah. Now look, we didn't cover Patrick and Thais. I will get vulnerable, as Ethan Plath would say, and I'll tell you the real reason. I knew it was going to be a dad heavy thing,
Yeah.
and that's a hard place for me to go. Even still, because y'all, grief is not like a straightforward path that you walk down. If it is for you, I'm genuinely very happy for you, but for me it's like I know what I can take and I know what I need to protect myself from, especially when I'm doing a comedy podcast. I just, yeah, so I couldn't go there, but I make the joke that I just, his head bothers me or something.
It was a good decision, and I would say, I mean, Michelle and I'll always discuss this in the future before season starts because we're obviously not going to skip a really vital cast member if they're, we'll work something out if we have to cover something like that. But look, you guys can hear about Patrick and Thais. I got to say, I don't think we missed that much. I'm sure there was some good stuff in there dealing with the dads, but I don't know how massaged that whole storyline is, and considering it, was a little upsetting for our team here. It just felt like it was better to avoid. However, we are going to lightly cover them a bit more here in the
Yeah,
tell all.
obviously. And the reality gaze did fantastic coverage of them. They both told me that they felt that, contrary to Jack's opinion, that this was actually the heart and soul of the show. So look, I know we missed out, but we have to take care of ourselves, because what example are we setting if I come out here and I say, hey, I'm autistic and I have ADHD, and um I want to model good self-care practices and all of those things, and I just wouldn't be a good example. I'm not sure I'm a good example now
Yeah,
because 90% of this is talking about my butt and making rude jokes.
but I would say that the difference is, Maddie has expressed his attraction for Patrick and his love and admiration, and we don't necessarily have the same physical attraction or love casting towards Patrick. So, that's just, different folks, different strokes.
Now, they're still very much in love. And yes, who'd have thunk that a 25-year-old who had a baby would still look like a beautiful 25-year-old after
Shocking.
having a baby? I think I will probably look like a dried fig after whatever advanced age I give birth during. Um,
No, you'll look like a date more than a fig.
Thank you. So shapeless. At least figs have like an ass, you know? Um, Jack, when Gino was asked how long he and Jasmine have been married, uh, there was a bit of a reaction. Talk to me about this and what you said to Diana and I at the time.
Yeah, I was saying that if you've been married for less than a year and your quick answer to how long have you been married is about a year, that is not a great sign for the longevity or health of your marriage. Do you agree?
I agree. I think
Do
I
you agree?
um I mean, I would tell anyone and everyone in the first year of my second marriage how long we had been married. I mean, it was a very it's a hard year, but it was a very special time. Not because of anything to do with the marriage, but just, with stuff going on with
Did
our
you
families and
ever
stuff.
answer with a teeth suck and a deep inhale?
No, no, I did not. Um,
I haven't either, and I've been married for 11 years, and I've never answered with a teeth suck. So I think that this is continuing from the fact that I don't think Gino and Jasmine are in a great place. We also see, Jasmine entered, and look, she won the award at the pageant, but I it felt a little like I don't know. I'm talking about Jasmine wearing her sash that says Miss Latina International to the airport and also the grocery store and entering the house and everything. And it feels like, and I'm sorry, but this is just for me. It feels like if a kid wins an award and then they go around wearing the award everywhere.
to me, it was more um, I my bachelorette party was like immediately after COVID, and we were still like not really wanting to go. So my friend very generously hosted it at her house,
Nice.
and I would have worn like the bride sash indoors. I would not have agreed to identify myself that way anywhere else. And I feel like she wears this to the grocery store, the doctor's office, the like wherever else, the gym, wherever else she goes. And I just think,
Does
I don't
she
know,
wear it while she's working out, or does she take it off and put it in the
I
dressing
think
room?
she wears her tiara while she's working out. But it's just, how sometimes like women will wear like crowns on their birthday or whatever, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's my birthday week." Those of Vanderpump fans know what I'm talking about. It's
Yes.
my birthday week. I just think you really don't, this is not something that you need to milk.
Well, let
Um,
me ask you though, do you think, because I took it also, was it like a statement piece by Jasmine walking in, with other beautiful Latino women? Was
mm,
it a statement of like, listen, bitch, I'm Miss Latina International?
Now, yes, but I think it speaks to her insecurities, and I think
Well, yeah,
well, yeah,
obviously.
but I mean, I just mean it's not a power move; it's a sad move.
Yes.
Um,
It's a wannabe power move. Let's call it that.
She freely announces that that Gino is not allowed to sleep in the bed with her until he is prepared to have sex with her. Um,
Which, let me tell you, ladies,
yeah, I was going to say you had some thoughts on this, so I want you to go ahead and get that out.
okay, this really bothered me. Now, look, I have not personally experienced the issues Gino's facing sexually, but I, have gotten into my own head before, and that, if you're a guy and you get into your head, it can be hard to perform. Granted, I can work past that, but Gino's older than I am, in worse shape than I am, and seems like he really gets deep into his head. I did not like the way anybody was handling Gino's situation here. I really hated the way Jasmine was handling this. If Gino's uncomfortable to fuck you, Jasmine, going around making comments about his weird dick and his porn addiction, which I don't think is a porn addiction, which we'll get to, and Gino's just basically trying to get comfortable. Anybody out there, if your partner's not feeling comfortable, making a giant spectacle out of it and calling them like a fucking weirdo, in essence, is not going to make them more comfortable or more likely to do anything. And this is where, and look, and maybe I'm glad we didn't cover him. This is where I'll just say Patrick can go fuck himself right now with his back knee and his steroid face and his bullshit, because I am positive he's not batting 1,000 in the bedroom. And for this guy to be like, what's going on, man? Why don't you just go fuck your woman? Go fuck your woman. Go fuck your woman. That was a sort of like real extra broy sort of vibe. That's like, all right, Pat, why don't you just sit down and relax? And sorry, I got a little heated, but
No,
that
no,
was, I had a, yes,
the
please
only
go
thing
ahead.
I wanted to add to that
Yes,
is,
yes.
I have always been a bold defender of Jasmine. I can't defend her in this instance because shame is a currency for her. It's a motivator for her.
Yep.
And I think the nicest thing I could say is that she's thinking in her brain, well, shame runs my entire life and is the reason why I do anything. So if I want something from my husband, I'm going to put that as much shame on him as possible. And that will motivate him to change and have a vulnerable conversation with me. But again, that's as charitable I can be. What I actually see is somebody who has become quite a cruel person, very unnecessarily. I'm not saying that he's the easiest person to be in a relationship with, but he's not trying. They've just reached a point where, and I've heard this from male friends of mine,
Mm-hmm.
um, from men I've been in relationships with. They talk about having been in relationships with women who also are motivated by shame and use that as a motivator. And it's a big fucking turnoff because guess what? I mean, I'm just going to throw a scenario at you and, maybe gauge how hard your dick would get if you had someone come in who this beautiful woman who's given you everything and then decides to start proceedings off with, you haven't been looking at porn, have you? You haven't been looking at that disgusting porn with your weird dick and your never nude shorts, have you? Oh, I'm so disgusted by you. Will you please fuck me immediately? Come on.
Now, I don't know about anyone else out there, but that makes me rock hard. I mean, if you can like tell me how strange all of my predilections are and then tell me to
Kinks,
bring
so
me
kinks aside,
Jesus.
because for some people that's their kink and we don't kink shame
Oh,
here,
not
but
like that at
all of
all.
that is aside.
Let me be very clear. I'm talking about that's not Gino's kink.
No,
So,
it isn't.
and that's all I'm talking about.
No,
No, no. If it's your kink, that's fine. But this is not Gino's kink, and
no.
Jasmine's treating it almost like it is or should be. And I'm not sure that that's going to lead to a good direction. And let me say, I mean, look, I've never had this type of relationship in a romantic sense. I've had friendships where people will put me down or something like that, and that's easier
Oh.
to. Oh, thank you. That's easier to extricate yourself from than a relationship. Obviously, a romantic relationship. But this whole thing, like, what do you think her aim is? Is she trying to get anywhere with him, or is she just angry?
She is uh, it's difficult. I think she's thinking about the audience, and I think she's thinking about her longevity on the show. These are things that she has in common with Angela, who we'll get to later. Um Ashley and Manuel, nice to have them in a good place, getting along.
Quote. Can I introduce their quote for a second? This was the
Yes.
quote of the episode from Manuel,
Yes.
who I don't know why I love him and want to hang out with him.
I know.
I
I
think
love
we'd
him
have a really.
too.
You told me when we were watching this that you thought that if I went drinking with Manuel, we'd have a
You
really
would
awesome
never come
time.
back. We would lose you for 2 days. You would love him.
Just quote, I'm a Scorpio mucho sex,
Yes.
which
He's
explains so much.
he's in fine form. Y'all, no one had to tell me he was a Scorpio, okay? Um what else? So now we have Ed and Liz.
And yes, like, pardon us, we're going to jump around with people a little bit just as to what pops into our heads here right
Yeah,
now.
but I'm also gonna just say we
Try to
got
cull it before you speak it.
I don't want to go too much into the actual reunion part of it. I'm way more interested in what happens in the
The crazy
house.
house.
Yes, but this the haunted mansion, Discovery's haunted mansion. Um we'll get to Liz in a moment. Everyone stops talking. Now I don't know if it was you and me or me and Diana who had a disagreement over this.
Hmm.
The fact that Ed walks into a full room because Emily and Kobe show up too.
Yes.
Um,
Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah, yeah.
and I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't have their entrance, but yeah, it's really annoying. Emily is one of those people where I absolutely hate her during the season, and now I'm like, she's the person I would most want to be friends with in this house, I think.
Now, just think about that for a second, because that is sort of a bold statement after your hilarious impressions of Emily throughout the season. What changed? Like, what do you think the vibe is that you're like, no, she's all right. Like, I could hang with her.
I'm always drawn to the gal who is her authentic self. And I'm not saying that she was inauthentic during the season, like Emily is a brat and
Right.
Brat is in now, but I like that she comes in there, she is 8 months pregnant, heavily pregnant.
A big time pregnant.
And rather
Yeah.
than spending the entire time complaining about and I'm not saying this is like there's any kind of typical pregnant behavior, but I'm saying she could have come in here and been like, ugh, I'm so uncomfortable. Everything's blah, blah, blah. But instead, she's like, all right, I'm drinking juice. I'm putting my feet up. Everyone's rubbing my legs. I'm just here to I'm in full acceptance of what this is, and I'm not trying to change it. And I just appreciated that attitude because everyone apart from Emily has come in here with a vendetta against someone,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I just really liked that. Kobe's super chill. He's very happy.
Another
Little
guy,
nosy, but
a little nosy, but I think Kobe was like, I think that I think that him and Emily are probably in a pretty good place. They seem very relaxed, and I feel like for the first time, maybe Kobe's kind of coming, and obviously we have the new format here, but I feel like Kobe's kind of coming in as like a vet of the show now,
Yeah.
and I think he knows like how to kind of like hey, let me say a little thing here, a little thing there, let me get it going a little bit. I appreciated his, let's call it some showmanship from Kobe on this one.
Right. So we had anyway, everyone's cutting up, getting along, getting settled in, and a hush falls over the room when Ed arrives.
And now, just to set the stage, just Ed and Liz, did they arrive at the same time?
I don't think so. I
Oh
believe
no, I'm
they
mixing that up
arrived.
with
I
our
think
other
it was a
two.
little
Yes,
staggered. Yeah.
yes. So he enters. Does he? So he has. What was the initial interaction with Liz? Did he? Oh, we have. He starts. Didn't he start crying and immediately make it about poor Ed?
Well, nobody talked to him, and he got the deep freeze when he came in, which I'm not sorry about. His behavior is appalling. I don't the it's very telling that the only person he gets along with is Angela. I
His
think
cameo buddy.
yeah, I mean, look, I don't think very highly of him at all. I wouldn't have gone for this approach with him. I would have been overly nice because I think it would rattle him more.
So you're saying that the whole group could have been like, "Hey Ed, what's going on, man? Great
You
to
know,
see
no,
you."
you know what it is? I wouldn't want to hand him that victory of being the outcast because now he can feel sorry for himself, which is his favorite thing.
But you know he would have figured out how to feel sorry for himself anyway.
The fact that Liz is someone who I also struggle to have sympathy for. I think Liz has borderline personality disorder or something
Mm,
similar. I think it's very difficult for her to regulate her emotions. I think she probably does have a temper, but she's never learned coping mechanisms and she's not done enough work on herself to kind of figure out why she continues to end up in really difficult situations romantically and otherwise. Um, but the fact that she still gets wet for these crumbs, for these crocodile tears, which is something Thais had to explain to her American English speaking husband. Um, yeah,
Patrick,
that's
what is this crocodile tears? What do you mean? That's his voice, by the way. I don't care what he sounds like. That's his voice.
um
But yeah, no, so she's still picking at the crumbs, and somehow that's enough, but it's not enough. And we're going to say it is not enough at all for her going forward.
here's the thing. Ed, you don't have hate for someone you love. You don't go, "Oh, we have." There's a huge difference between a love-hate relationship and the relationship you have with someone who you were going to marry and who you've had a long history with. You don't If you hate that person, then there can't be any love there.
Well,
Um
because you can feel angry at somebody, but to say I have hate, that's like a very different like emotion than anger. And I don't know, do you think Ed is good at naming his emotions?
no. Um No, but I think look, like I have definitely said some very ugly things at difficult points in my life. I've definitely told people I love that I hate them and I've definitely I am certainly no angel in that regard. I just mean that I've never hated someone who I loved no matter what we went through and I certainly wouldn't bring that up the first time I'm seeing them after a breakup and sort of go like, well, this is our relationship and act like that's something normal because it isn't.
Right,
And
right.
speaking of normalizing things that are really uncomfortable, Rob and Sophie are the last to arrive. Sophie's Look, she looks like she's Maya Rudolph playing the character of Sophie. Like she's almost got a cohesive look, but it's like, nope, she's still wearing clothes that are two sizes too small for her, that are unflattering in how they're cut, that she looks physically uncomfortable all the time.
Yeah, she does.
Um, but we learn that they are having some kind of relationship. They don't ever want to have. Kobe makes sure that we know the status of their sex life, which is not something that I was remotely interested in or curious about. Not because I'm a prude. I don't think these two have had sex ever. I just can't see it. These are two of the least sexy people who in the history of this show.
Now, do you think that that is just together or separately in their own lives, not together?
I don't look. I mean, Rob is a very good looking man, and
Mm-hmm.
Sophie is a beautiful girl. And I do say girl because I think she's not yet a woman. Like Sophie doesn't have a pussy. You
What
know
is
what I
she? What
mean?
does she have a flower?
Yeah, she has like a delicate little lily or something. She's not in possession of like a pussy.
Now, I don't disagree, but let me ask you because I do feel like Rob does have maybe more access to his sexuality than Sophie does.
No, I couldn't disagree with you
Really? You
more.
don't think that he's ever been sexual in a relationship with a different woman?
I think he has so much shame around being a sex worker that he's very confused about where that ends. And I think he has to turn that part of himself off in order to feel okay about the work that he does.
You're talking about the online stuff that he does.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just aware that the majority of the sex work that he does is aimed at men, and he's not identified as bisexual or gay.
We've
um
only seen him identify himself as a straight man.
yes, that's right.
So are you suggesting that maybe this is just kind of causing some internal discord for Rob?
I think there's a lot. I just context clues. I think the interest in women who are very muscular,
Mm-hmm.
like, not that there's any shame in that, but Sophie obviously isn't and doesn't have that body type. I think that's kind of a red flag for me. The fact that but the biggest red flag of all is this need for them to dress up or for them not to be able to have sex with each other, that there has to be some like premise to the sex. I was in a relationship like that,
Mm-hmm.
um with a man, and he could never be fully present with me. We could never have sex where it was just us. I wouldn't say that. I don't mean that there was another person involved. I just mean like,
Other personas?
yeah, there
Yeah.
always had to be some kind of thing where he needed to be talking about a scenario where like I was being humiliated or he was being humiliated. And looking back on it now, it's like, and there were definite performance issues there too. Like he couldn't perform if there wasn't that element of humiliation. And it's just,
Deep
that's,
rooted stuff.
yeah, it's a difficult thing to navigate. And I think Sophie has her own history that, and she's also done some sex work as well from what I understand. And I
I
just
just
think,
want to be clear when you're saying sex work, this is online sex work for them, correct?
yes,
Yep.
yeah, but it doesn't, in some ways I think that's more difficult than going person to person, because it once you and this is what I've um reminded myself of when I've thought about selling pictures of my feet and stuff like that, which is that's something that I really respect that people can do, is that I've got a really hard time with change to begin with, and kind of this idea that something is permanently one way and permanent. Like when you're doing sex work online and you're giving images of yourself or videos of yourself, that's not something that you can ever get back. You've given that, and I don't mean this in a shaming way. I'm just saying, like,
Once they're out there, they're out
once
there.
it's out there, it's out there. And I wonder whether Sophie has the emotional health to be able to separate what she's put out there
Hmm.
and sold versus like what has she kept back that's just for her,
Right.
right?
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying. So if she's having any sort of split in that area in her brain, where does that split go if she's so confused about how she's presenting herself?
Right. And there's a big difference between like dressing sexy or putting on a sexy persona and
Hmm.
actually feeling
Sexy.
sexy. Or I just, yeah, I don't think either of them feel safe in that relationship. So I'm not sure what kind of sex they would have if they were going to have
So
it.
just like if with an average heterosexual couple, let's say that they like to dress up, right, and they like to do some role playing, and that is a little bit of the foreplay into the sex, and then as soon as the sex is over, then maybe you break down the role playing, and there's like loving kind of fun, and you kind of go from there. You don't see that happening here. That would be maybe, let's say, a healthy way to go about it. Do you think that they have more issue with if they were doing any role playing, if it ever got to that point? Do you think, Sophie, are you saying she'd have trouble kind of differentiating or separating herself from the role playing into the reality?
No, I'm saying that when you start with role play
Hmm.
before you have vanilla
Ah.
sex and before you build trust and before you have a foundation that's based on your mutual attraction to each other, I think that's a tough place to be. I don't know if that, particularly if, and I'm speaking as a survivor of sexual abuse and sexual assault myself,
Hmm.
I don't think that's a great starting off point for building a healthy sex life.
Okay, I misunderstood your point there. I get it. So you're saying if for someone like Sophie, it might be better to just do that vanilla missionary easy kind of sex before complicating it with a lot of role playing and other thinking.
It's not that it's not that it complicates it, because it can enrich your
Of
sex life
course,
and
and
it
I
can,
just mean for Sophie.
yeah, for Sophie and for Rob. Like,
Right.
I think there's so little. And also, I don't know how vulnerable you can be with someone who you don't trust and who you don't. But look, we've been talking about this forever. Lauren and Alexi, who are heretofore to be referred to exclusively as Lexi and Aloran. I don't remember why that happened,
I
but
said it by accident when I was saying their names fast.
yeah.
And then you guys loved it. You and Diana said Lexi and Lauren.
So
It's
Lexi and Aloran, I mean, yeah, they are a beautiful couple.
They are. She looks great, by the way.
At a great risk to my personal safety, I'm going to say that I want to thank them for wearing the bring them home tags.
Yeah, I do too.
Um,
It's important everyone can represent whatever is important to them out there.
exactly. It's important that everyone can freely and without prejudice
Hmm.
represent their family and um, the people that they're thinking of. So I appreciated that. I
Yes.
noticed that I assume they were not allowed to wear them to the reunion.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. But hey, at least they are wearing them on television. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, moving on, we're going to dip in and out because we had people kind of coming and going at this point. You had some comments about Gino's attire.
Gino looks like if the Crypt Keeper did a season of Flavor of Love.
And that would be the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt, who
Which,
would
yeah, if
sort
you're
of.
that old, we love you.
I'm that old, and I can say, just it was a skeleton that would pop up, and he'd make little like puns and stuff like that. But he'd also go, and that's sort of like the
Oh,
vibe
that's a
Gino
really good
has.
cackle.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I could do
that's the
that.
vibe. Patrick proudly boasts that he and Thais are just better than the other couples, reminding us
No, I
of
think what he said,
why we don't
Michelle,
like them.
is that just like Thais, you and I, we're just better, like better. Really, Patrick, you are a fucking wordsmith, bro. If you can't
um,
tell, I really don't like Patrick, and that's just a personal opinion. It's not an opinion of Blighty Day Fiance. It's my personal opinion watching this man.
I also really enjoyed Ashley and Emily in particular advocating for Michael in their subtle, non-threatening way. I think that's the right way to go about it. Ed is dressed like Violet Beauregard from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
And by that was a point out from Diana. That was just
Yes,
she was.
yeah.
That was after Violet eats
Eats the blueberry whatever
the
that
blueberry
starts
whatever,
turning
and
into a
yeah,
blueberry.
that's Ed in his blueberry suit.
Um what else did we have? Jasmine in her Elsa from Frozen collection quinceañera ball gown, which was another contribution from Diana that I just think is sensational. Um some of my notes, because they're audio dictated, don't make any
That's all
sense.
right. I'm working through it.
Um I did also enjoy that and you pointed this out, I think, Jack, that Rob is seeing someone else when he's talking to Angela, and
Yes. The
yeah,
reaction and the way Rob's speech pattern changed. Rob didn't see Angela. Rob could only see Claire, Sophie's mother,
yeah.
when looking at Angela. And it was also the affect and the way she was going at him and everything. I think it was Rob looked deer in the headlights a little bit a few times here.
I I never thought that I would soften toward him in any way, but I really like him. I just loved him at this reunion, which again, we're not going to massively
No, we're
over.
not, and I'm not going to make you go too far into this, but I too have like started to really like Rob, and I just want to know because as a woman, you were not enjoying Rob. I'm wondering what you think if you have a wrap up thing you can do there. What changed for you with Rob, do you think?
I think part of it is the insight and interest he has in other people's relationships and the insights that he's had into his own relationships,
Mm-hmm.
or own relationship rather. I just feel like we're seeing this side of him that's a little more curious. Um, so yeah, that's what changed how I felt. Ashley's the MVP in
Looks
this section for
fantastic.
me, boldly calling out Big Ed for not being accountable or taking any responsibility, deflecting everything onto Liz. I don't think Liz could ever do that for herself. So, kudos to you, Ashley, for correctly identifying what's going
Do you think
on there.
Ashley kind of like walked into a door when it turned out she was speaking to an extremely religious man when she was speaking to Ed? Did he What did he say? He said he's going to
He's like,
church.
I go to church and I don't really do any dating.
And it's like, fuck you. We know you were on the apps, you fucking liar. There's a big discussion also about like Gino and his relationship with taking Jasmine to the gym or doing things for her. I also appreciated Ashley saying that she thinks, you're the American, you took this on, you need to honor your commitments and not dump this on her. I do agree with that. Um,
We do get the though when when and look, it becomes a little contentious because Gino's trying to say he's been doing like this work, which even I like. Look, I know it's a lot of work, but it was like, Gino, you're not working, so are you suggesting you're doing like 8-hour days of paperwork for
yeah,
Jasmine?
but y'all, look, I know this stuff is diffuse and difficult to understand for a reason. I have helped many couples uncouple consciously and divorce. The paperwork for that, particularly the financial part, is very difficult.
Yes,
And
but what did you tell me Gino should have done instead of doing this himself?
I think you're all going to know what I'm going to say. He should have gone to a lawyer. At least let the lawyer tell you what the government's looking for, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's what I say to my clients up front, because it's very, I know it's a different type of law, but what I say to my clients up front before anything else is I'll say, this is what the court is looking for from you. So I understand that you want to talk about the part where he pressured you into buying 5 packs of maxi pads for $5 because it was 5 for 5. The judge is really going to want to be more focused on, like, maybe the point at which you realized that you could no longer raise children with that person, or where you could no longer cohabitate. We don't need every, garnish on the sandwich, as it were. um Even Gino's cousins, Dana and
This
Michelle.
felt a little staged here. We have Dana and Michelle coming in to basically say, like, Gino, why can't you do whatever she wants you to do? You're not doing
No,
nothing.
no, I thought this was really powerful because she managed to take the two people who were the most skeptical about her and the most like, oh, this is just some dumb gold digger. Uh, and
I
now
think they
for them
were.
to be firmly on her side is very powerful.
I think they were dragging Gino on purpose. I don't know how true I feel like this feeling is from them, but they do. This is where it goes both ways because I'm trying to be on Gino's side, but then he says something incredibly fucking stupid, like, I'd bring her to the gym, but that rush hour traffic. What? What are you talking about? You live in Canton, Michigan. Michelle, I think you said you think the longest traffic jam is 6 cars.
Oh, I don't know.
I know we're making jokes, but I'm just saying he says it's 10 minutes away. What is this? Half hour round
It
trip
can't.
max? Or take an Uber for
Maybe that
10
is too
bucks?
much. Maybe that is too. Look, I don't know, but I don't buy it. I think this is stupid. You live in a small town. Come on. You
Yes.
don't. I'm talking as someone. I'm talking as an inner loop of the fucking beltway human, okay? And you've got another one here who grew up in Manhattan with that kind of traffic. You cannot speak to either of us about traffic,
This is
okay?
true.
And my whole summer's on Route 1 and I-95 in New England, okay? Forget it. Do not talk to me about traffic.
I know we're running a little long. We're going to wrap up soon. I just wanted to, before we go, I just wanted to get your thoughts because it's one thing we didn't talk about here, really. We touched on it, but Jasmine goes in on Gino. We mentioned about the sex, but then she also, or wait, am I mixing up? Wait, I'm looking at Lauren's reactions. Oh, no, no, no. Okay, Lauren has big responses, by the way. I
Lauren
mean,
is honorable mention. Ashley's first place blue ribbon for this episode. Lauren is a very close second with her
Lauren,
reactions.
phenomenal response to Liz saying that Ed has a tiny penis. That was really funny. We didn't really touch on that. We don't need to. What I wanted to ask you with was Lauren's response where she was shocked at how little sex Gino and Jasmine have. Is that just because she's on the show and not watching it that she's shocked at how little sex they're having? Because supposedly she says they haven't had sex in 8 months. Gino says it's been a few months. Regardless, it's a long time.
No, I mean that's a very long time, and I think Lauren is like one of us. I think she possesses a higher drive and can't imagine. I also don't think that I think she and Alexi ran out of things to talk about a long time ago, and she can't imagine how they would spend Thursday nights if they weren't banging it out, and more power to them.
Can I give Rob the closing word here on this?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, we just have again. Just I want to end with Rob being insightful and on point here. Um, in regards to Gino and Jasmine, Rob has the very astute point, pearls of wisdom, saying that Gino feels emasculated, so he's not going to be interested in sex. And I think like no one else gave that bone to Gino at
No,
all.
no.
Rob Minor MVP.
Um, what I'm looking forward to in this house is, I think, and we can, the next time Diana's on, we can talk a little bit about the different personalities in this house. But
Yep.
I'm noticing, they're apart from Patrick, like we don't really have, and maybe Manuel, we don't really have a lot of alpha males in this group.
Manuel's an alpha, but only if he gets pushed because he's not going to like get his hair
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. I mean, we've got chief narcissist or narcissist in chief. We've got Ed, right? But
Patrick also, he
and
thinks he's the
Patrick.
biggest alpha in the planet.
Yeah, but he isn't really. He's like alpha presenting, but he isn't. He's not assigned alpha at birth. Love you, cousin Dan. With the women, however, this is going to be fascinating because Angela is an alpha female. Jasmine is an alpha female. Lauren is an alpha female. Now, Lauren is not used to, now, Angela being a Southern lady, particularly, who has spent most of her life working in a service position.
Yes.
She's been knocked down a peg or two in her life.
Yes.
Jasmine, she's an immigrant, Latina lady.
Mm-hmm.
She's had to prove herself at various points in her life.
Absolutely.
With her chosen career and education. Lauren has never been checked.
Excuse me?
Yeah. And Lauren is a mean girl, y'all. And if you think that part of her life is over, you are dead wrong.
Oh, it's just getting started for her in Hollywood, Florida at 35 years old or whatever she is.
Yeah. Right now, she is queen shit of Fuck Mountain wherever she goes. And with a mother like that, who is also an alpha female, sparks are going to fly. I think I'm interested to see, I think Sophie trembles like a chihuahua when someone looks at her the wrong way. I'm interested to see what happens when Ashley, who had a very kind of peacemaker Enneagram 9 energy to proceedings. I'm really interested in seeing what that's going to look like where Ashley's going to fall in the sort of in this group dynamic of women.
Well, I'm curious, and just also because we didn't really touch on them, and we're going to focus on them a little bit more in the next part. We didn't really talk about Angela and Michael, which we're not getting into at this time.
Yeah.
I just want to just preface it because we'll get into it next time. Angela's really, really horrifying to Michael and speaking to him in a really weird way. I, in fact, am really only bringing them up because I came with some word salad that has really been making me laugh. Which
yeah.
So we've been watching all of our shows, in order this week. And I was just thinking, what if Angela was with Micah Plath instead of Michael? And then we could do a whole bit about Micah. And I also think that Angela might be Micah's secret girlfriend. So we're going to see what's going on.
It's a possibility. It's been a pleasure, as always. I am Michelle, and I do my utmost to take accountability and responsibility when I've done wrong.
My name's Jack, and you know what? No matter what the traffic is like, I'm going to drive Michelle to the gym today.
That's so nice.
Isn't it? We
love you. That's it.